Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Pearl, and I'm very excited to have Rob McCulloch from MasterMine joining us today. We're going to be doing a presentation today that talks a little bit about MasterMine, a very powerful Excel-based tool that can now do some very interesting reporting against the data you're tracking in Goldmine with IntelliClick, and I think you'll find some very interesting capabilities by the end of our presentation today. We are recording the presentation, and a link will be sent out to all of you when it becomes available. So we just want to be, and that way you can share it with any of your colleagues should they not have been able to attend today. Rob McCulloch is the lead developer at MasterMine, and he has a lot of good insights in the product and particularly its use with IntelliClick. MasterMine is an extensive user of our product in-house. As well as we have had extensive experience with MasterMine, especially among a lot of our clients who use that tool for their reporting, and we've seen some very powerful capabilities that we're excited to share today. The product MasterMine was introduced back in 1999, and today boasts of over 5,000 users worldwide using it. And you know, from our own experience, as I mentioned, we've seen some very strong capabilities that users leverage against the entire data base of their Goldmine system. We're going to be focusing a little bit on IntelliClick in particular and all the data you've been gathering using our tool and how you can better really manage it and effectively take action against it. Feel free to post questions as we go along today, and we will at certain points pause to address those where it makes sense. And so I'm going to go ahead now and turn everything over to Rob to take us through a look at MasterMine and IntelliClick together. Rob, go ahead.
All right. Thank you very much, Steve. And thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about MasterMine to IntelliClick with IntelliClick users. What I want to do today is pretty efficiently move through some of the capabilities that you have been accumulating, I guess, by having IntelliClick in Goldmine. When I say capabilities, I mean talk about the ability that you have to actually understand your audience better, and to, if you apply MasterMine, which is our tool that is used for reporting and data management inside of Goldmine, to essentially make a big win-win out of that, out of having that information in your database and actually being able to take action on it. So what I'll do is we should see a little change in our slide here. Oh, we're not going to just yet. There we go. So here's what I think our purpose for doing this webinar today. I'm going to have about 2 slides, and then we're going to go right into showing you some analysis and some data management, some Excel, management of the Goldmine data using the tools that we're talking about today. So our purpose here is first to help you to understand your customers and prospects. And of course, you're accumulating a lot of information using IntelliClick in your Goldmine database, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're taking that information and doing something really valuable with it, or doing that the things that are the most potentially valuable for you. That's what we're here to help you do today. We're going to talk also about managing that data, because again, there's a lot of information flowing into Goldmine. You hope that it's all going in there in a perfectly consistent way, consistent both internally as well as with your own rules for how you use Goldmine. But of course, people make errors along the way, and so we want to talk about actually managing that data once it's in Goldmine. We'll also talk about the importance, or really the ability now to measure results. Now, normally in your marketing, it's very easy to tell what your costs are. That's the money that you've spent, the checks that you've written, and so on. But it's pretty difficult normally to evaluate the results of those expenditures versus those costs. And we're giving you the other side of that. We're giving you the ability to actually measure the results as they come into Goldmine. We'll also talk about improving email and web results. I mean, really, that's kind of the end line. That's what we're after here, is if you've implemented IntelliClick, you started out on a journey to try to understand better what is the effect of our marketing, right? but understanding it is the first step. The second step is what do you actually do about that in order to improve and eventually get to better results at the bottom line. And then we'll talk about following up opportunities. So that is our purpose here today, is to really get these 5 steps handled, so that you essentially are able to take what you've already got with IntelliClick and turn it into better bottom line opportunities and results for yourself. So here's our agenda. The agenda is, well, I'll talk a little bit about MasterMine with Goldmine. We'll talk also a little bit about how the IntelliClick data resides in Goldmine, what it looks like inside of Goldmine for those of you who are maybe only using parts of IntelliClick but not all of it. This will be an opportunity to learn a little bit more about what you could already be accomplishing with your IntelliClick. But the meat of our webinar today is to talk about what we do with that information, with those first 2 steps, when we bring those together. So to demonstrate summarizing and reporting information out of Goldmine, we'll talk about normalizing and cleaning up that information as it goes into Goldmine, and this is a capability that MasterMine brings to all of Goldmine, of course, not just to what you bring in from IntelliClick, something that you'll want to apply across your entire management of Goldmine. And then the third thing is to talk about taking action. What are we actually going to do as follow-up to what we learn from the IntelliClick data? Yes, Steve.
Rob, we might want to make sure the slide moves forward. I'm not seeing that change as well, so let's just make sure that the screen is probably displaying, because we are still seeing there we go. Now it is showing. So
were we that whole time? Okay. Were we that whole time not showing the slide? Okay.
Yeah. I guess I wasn't sure if it was just unique to me, but I have a feeling it was not. So
I think you are right. Yeah. Okay. So we've gotten most of the way through the agenda anyway. So this is the agenda. Talk about MasterMine a little bit. To just introduce it, talk about where the IntelliClick data goes, and then to demonstrate these key connections between the two. And then at the very end here, we will also talk about a MasterMine offer to learn more about MasterMine, how you can make it work with your Goldmine as well as work with your IntelliClick, your IntelliClick specific information in Goldmine. So with that, actually, that is all I wanted to do as far as slides are concerned, and I'm going to switch over and actually show you a live Goldmine here. And let's go into the purposes of our webinar today. So when you have Goldmine, and this is a premium edition of Goldmine, of course, and I think most of you who have IntelliClick probably are on the premium edition. One of the things that happens with Goldmine generally over time is that data accumulates in various ways. Of course, there's people entering in their calls and appointments, there's importing of information, there's web imports, there's a lot of ways that information can get into Goldmine. The obvious thing to do is to figure out ways to turn that data into useful business guiding information for you. What MasterMine does, that in a nutshell is what MasterMine does, is help you to actually create ways of looking into your Goldmine data that are beneficial to you. Now I'm going to come back here and I'm actually going to go into some reports that we've created against IntelliClick data in this database that we're looking at here. But I want to quickly just sort of introduce MasterMine more broadly. I won't actually create a MasterMine report, but I'll sort of point to you about, or indicate to you about how that would normally be done so that you can understand the reports that I'm going to show you. So the idea of MasterMine is to be able, on a moment's notice really, to create reports very easily in Excel against Goldmine data. And when we say in Excel, people often imagine, oh, well, that's just a spreadsheet with a bunch of columns and rows in it. We're actually bringing it into Excel pivot tables, making it easy for you to organize and sort through your Goldmine data, and really do probably 90% of what you would imagine reporting normally would be, except that instead of having to go through a report designer engine and do all sorts of kind of programmerish things to get the information in front of you, MasterMine actually gives it to you in a much more user-friendly way that allows you to see it how you need it in the moment. I'll get to that here in a moment here when I show you the MasterMine for IntelliClick reports. Just want to indicate here that really anything that's in Goldmine is available to do the kinds of reporting and analysis that I'll show you here today. Some of the people on this call are already MasterMine users, so you're already familiar with a lot of this capability. I'm just going to indicate that anything that's in Goldmine is available for reporting. We have both the ability to build reports from scratch, to design them new just against your Goldmine data, and it's very easy, for example, to do a report of, let's say, from your history tab in Goldmine, that's your history information, but it's also history plus contact level information. You can be specific. I want calls and appointments, and you just check on whatever fields you want and hit the finish button. Maybe put a date parameter on it, but other than that, that essentially is all it takes to get that information in front of you and start working with it. In addition to designing reports from scratch the way I've just shown you, where you just check boxes, we also have a large number of templates built in so you can do reports from there. And then finally, those templates are organized within what we call toolkits. Actually, I'll go back and just show you that these toolkits are user specific, so the types of Goldmine users that you have. There are templates for MasterMine for sales management, for the IT management, for the marketing kinds of users, and so on. And we also have a toolkit in here for IntelliClick users. Specifically, templates. A toolkit is a set of templates that are built around the kinds of information that you might want to extract from all that information that you're accumulating using IntelliClick. Whether you've got people clicking and creating history records inside of Goldmine. Actually, here I'll talk here next about just the kinds of information that flows into Goldmine. I think I'm going to stop on the introduction of MasterMine itself and just say and just talk about what is in Goldmine and then bring the two together. So these are the kind of templates that I'll be showing you reports from once I open up the report here. But I'm going to minimize this here for the moment and just talk about IntelliClick data inside of Goldmine. So as you know, when you create campaigns using IntelliClick, one of the things that you're doing is setting up so that as people click on links inside your emails, click records get created inside of Goldmine. So and usually those will show up in a couple of possible places. If you've set up a click track tab inside of Goldmine, you actually see for any given account record in Goldmine all of the times that they have clicked on a link inside of your email to go to, let's say, one of your web pages, or if you have turned on the web navigation capability inside of IntelliClick, which we think is really powerful and very useful. You can even continue to track your prospects' activity. Not only first did they open your email, secondly, did they click something in your email to go to your website, third, if they went to your website, where did they go inside the website? And that kind of information is deeply important, very valuable for understanding what your prospects know about you. One of the things that I love about IntelliClick generally is that to me what it does is it takes your Goldmine system, which normally just sits there on your own computer or in your own network and does a lot of activity, and it makes it reach out into the world to follow on what you're doing with your email. So not only do you have that one-way sending out email and not knowing what's happening with it, which you normally have in a marketing situation, but you have the full ability to really track the next steps that happen and bring that information back into Goldmine and make good use of it. As IntelliClick users, whatever level you are right now, that at least is probably the core of why you got IntelliClick in the first place. So knowing that you're generating this click information usually on the details tab inside of Goldmine, or in this case we named ours click track, and that plus in the history activity, because under history not only do you have your all of your emails and all the other stuff, but you have the possibility in Goldmine with IntelliClick of tracking things on the history tab as well. MasterMine will be able to take that information and turn it across all of your account records into information that tells you how your marketing is doing, that tells you what your prospects are seeing of what it is that you're putting out into the world, and allows you to take take the follow-up action for it. So that's what we're going to get to next. Let's actually go ahead, and I'm going to open up a MasterMine report. We've still got our dialog open here. I'm going to close this because we're not going to create a new report from scratch. I'm actually going to launch a couple of reports that we created in advance here. So first, the first one I want to bring up here is a report that I call clicks with email address parts. Now, it's kind of a complex name there, but the point is it's a report of clicks. We have brought in with it the email information that goes with it. And by the way, notice as I'm opening up this report, it's bringing up Excel, obviously. It's also at the bottom of my screen here. Oh, can't see it anymore. Was reading the current click data out of my Goldmine. So simply clicking on that button and having it open up in Excel reads the current information out of Goldmine. And it just brings it into this framework, into this organization that I have already set up inside of Excel. So my work as a user to see this report is literally to open MasterMine, decide which report I wanted to look at, click on it, and open it. That's all there was to it. And I'm seeing, in this case, it's about 100, and I didn't see the numbers at the bottom, but I think there were 100 and some thousand actual clicks being tracked. And we're showing them actually in several different categories here. There are and this is what I call just the raw results tab of my report. And what we've done here is organize by campaign, actually by campaign, and then within that we've grouped our campaigns for certain types, and I'll show that here in a moment. We're showing how many clicks we had, and this is in this case just for 2003 or just for users who are potential end users of our product. Our contact type field here is probably the same as a contact type field that you have in your own Goldmine database. In this case, we have end users, we have people who resell our product, we have existing customers, and so on. And so we're using this to categorize the type of people who are clicking on our emails. And then within the report here, we're showing how many clicks were there, how many of those were opens, how many of those were opt-outs, or how many of them of the clicks were opt-outs, how many clicks were click-throughs, and so on. And from here, this is a starting point. This is a raw results summary of all the click activity. What's important is where you go from with this. To start with, you want to be able to report on and to analyze what it is that's been pouring into your Goldmine database as far as information. This is something that you probably have some built-in reports. Of course, IntelliClick provides you with some simple crystal reports that allow you to see sort of overall overview kinds of numbers like what you're seeing right here probably, except those are crystal reports. They only do that one thing that those reports are for. They don't give you the kind of flexibility that I'm going to demonstrate here to you now. So to start with...
Bob, just one little thing. Can you make this a little bit larger? Is it possible to display a little larger? Just as some people I think are having trouble seeing it. Can we just
display Excel larger?
Size or font? Yeah, just a little bit. Maybe zoom in just a tad bit larger. Make it a little clearer for everyone to see, for those who are needing to see it a little larger.
Well, let's see. That's not something that's coming.
Zoom level. Yeah. I mean, if it's something you can readily adjust to the zoom level, yeah, I think you maybe move it up just a tad.
This would be a lot.
That'd be too much.
Let's try this. 150.
Yeah.
Is that better?
There you go.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that will make it larger, and you can see you will be able to see what's summarized up here more. I might have to zoom back out again to show you as we expand this out a little bit. So to start with, what we've done here is we've taken our campaigns, as I mentioned, and we've kind of grouped them together. So here in this report, I'll roll down the campaigns, the individual campaigns, so you can see that what we've taken is our webinar emails. These are invitations to come to webinars, and we did different ones in April and July and June and so on. So this is splitting out that same information, but across the different specific campaigns that we did. So you can see this in summary as well as by individual campaign, and that's important for fairly obvious reasons. Likewise, we could roll down our newsletter, our individual newsletters, and see the response that we got to those. Now this is just the response that we've had in the year 2013 for emails that were sent out in earlier years, or excuse me, newsletters that were sent out in earlier years. We're still receiving clicks on those, so you'll see those come into the reports. But this will give us, ways of doing that. Of course, we have the flexibility inside a MasterMine report, unlike in most reporting kinds of situations, to vary what it is, the parameters within which this report goes. And again, in a lot of reports, in reporting systems, you have the ability to actually put 2 or 3 parameters at the top of a report. What MasterMine does is really allow you to use any field for parameters, any field for display, and actually have that available to the end user without any kind of programming to do it that way. So I might, for example, switch this and say, well, actually in this report we only pulled data since the beginning of 2013, so that's all we have. But if we had earlier years in here, we could choose earlier years, or choose other kinds of users, just as a to demonstrate there the flexibility of what it is, how you can show this information. So I'm going to go back to my end users here.
I think what I want to do, Rob, I'd
Yes.
like to just highlight to everyone that what's really crucial about what you're seeing here is the flexibility to look at your results from many different angles, because everybody needs to evaluate their business, the results you're getting from the marketing campaign from different angles and perspectives, whether it's drilling down to certain parts of your database and segments that have responded to your mailings, whether it's by territory and for your sales reps. So what MasterMine gives you a lot of flexibility is to be able to bring the different fields that you want to narrow the scope of the result to, so that you have a meaningful representation analysis, and importantly can then take action against that in an appropriate way. So I just wanted to add that.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Steve. And so what I'm going to do is just show you some examples of different kinds of reports, but I wanted to, as Steve just said, indicate first that dynamism, that each report doesn't necessarily need to look just the way it's set up here. It can actually be very much in the user's hands, how they show it, how they roll down certain parts or roll up others. So some other examples that I sort of prepared in advance here, and I'll do go ahead and do the zoom thing here so you can see them better. So this is a report. This is actually another version of the raw results one that I did. In fact, it winds up being almost the same here, except that in this case we're not breaking out by the types of activities. We're only looking at clicks that were tracked, and so not the opens and the sends, but literally just the fact that just the clicks that people actually did. And if we want to see the detail behind any of this, we can add whatever detail that we want very easily. So for example, if we just wanted to know what are the, if we wanted to know the full data that's behind any one of these, we could take, for example, all of our webinars, or maybe a selected webinar. For our April webinar, there were 56 clicks that we tracked. This is our webinar invitation, of course. So for that one, 56 clicks were tracked. If I double click on the 56, this actually shows me the click track information that's stored in Goldmine for those 56 clicks. So we can see who they are, who was it that clicked, and so on. Now, that kind of information might also be drawn in rather than just showing, sort of splashing it all out on the screen like that. We can selectively show certain parts of it. So if I just wanted to see, well, what are the companies' names that clicked on our April webinar invitation? If I double click here and choose any of the fields that are that I included in the report, it's very easy to just show those. So individually I can see who is the company and how many times did they click, and then go in further and say, well, what did they click on, and so on. So all of that is available here in the reporting. It's very easy to do. I'm not going to swing through all the possibilities here because the possibilities are literally endless. But I wanted to, again, indicate that you can go all the way down to the individual record. Now, by the way, when I drilled down over here, it created a sheet. When I double-clicked on that number, it created a sheet that showed me all of the individual records within here. This still gives us the ability to take a further step and go straight to the report to the record on the Goldmine side. So if I double-click anywhere in a row here inside of one of these MasterMine drill down sheets, for example, on Biospherics Limited here, I might double click and it will swing over to Goldmine and actually bring up the Biospherics record so that I can do the appropriate activity that I should take based on the fact that they were in that report in that place. This is a two-way communication with Goldmine. Not only are we extracting information out, we are talking back to Goldmine in very important ways, and that's something that I want to indicate here, is that all reports continue to talk to Goldmine, so that you never really leave the Goldmine environment. You're just adding this Excel capability inside of Goldmine in a way. This was just an example here of click-through reports. I'll show this as well. You might also do, in this case, I've got a report set up so that we can see the whole activity, all the clicking activity for a particular company. And this is really just a variation on the same report that I was looking at before. It takes a couple of minutes really to change the other report to do this, so that I can just pick whatever company I want to. I've got the long list of potential companies to look at, and as long as they had any sort of a click in 2013, they will show up when I choose a different company. They will show up with who did the clicks, in this case by their email address name, and what campaign did they respond to. In this case, it was actually, this is not response, this is message sent and unsubscribes. Had they clicked on them, they also would have shown up as a column here. So I'm going to go back. And of course, you can BIO. Let me try that again. Okay, so that's just an example of one, but essentially you can type in any company name that you've got that you have sent emails to, and the result through IntelliClick, and the results will show up here, both who responded, what campaign, and so on. So that is just an example of a company, or excuse me, an account level report that, again, is very easy to do. And then this report is more of an overview of all of your marketing activity. It's not company specific, although you can make it that way, but this is a week-by-week breakdown of who responded, in this case, to prospect emails. You can, again, this could be set to all of our different types of campaigns, or just, in this case, just the prospect email type campaigns. And a week-by-week, how many clicks did they do, how many web nav, and by the way, these are clicks within emails, and then these are web nav clicks, so actual clicks on your website. And so this report is an overview kind of report, again, that gives you a summary of the activity that you've generated as a result of your IntelliClick activity, which you can then proceed to drill down for whatever further detail that you want. We did a week by week here. You could do a month by month, a year by year. You sort of get the idea that everything's possible. Excuse me. Now, and by the way, these reports obviously have a management level usage to them. The management, or the marketing management, for example, wants to know what they are actually accomplishing and to be able to dig in and present that information. But the reports also are usable at the top end and the lower end of the company. So from the executive level, these very same reports deployed on the Goldmine system are easy to just pop open and see how the marketing is doing. You don't necessarily have to go to someone else, go to the IT department, go to the marketing manager to say, send me the report that tells what how your marketing is doing. Maybe one time you have to do that to get it set up, but once you have the report, you just pop it open whenever you need it, and it refreshes automatically, and you know how you're doing. It's essentially, it's a major step toward what I would call an IntelliClick dashboard, or Goldmine dashboard for that matter, that can have whatever information you want in it. And of course, I mentioned the word dashboard, and people immediately think of graphs. Of course, it's very easy to present this information as graphs inside of Excel. There's our chart tool, so that you could actually take this very same table and present it as a graph, either on the same page or on its own page inside of Excel, and see this information again update as reality changes, so that a new week is added, and the new week will show up over here again with no effort by the report using person. It just simply shows up there as the data shows up in Goldmine. So that kind of reporting, again, very useful at the management level. Down at the other end, you also have, and this gets into the implications of having IntelliClick, part of the reason you have IntelliClick is that you want it to drive activity within your company. You want actual account reps, for example, to take action when a customer clicks on an email. You want that to happen fairly quickly. Now, you don't want them sitting there poring over Goldmine and to try to find where somebody just clicked, but with MasterMine, actually, that can be made pretty easily. And an account rep might have their own report. I'll pull in a typical account rep here. Or an account rep might have their very own report that is simply, if you want to have, it could only include the information for accounts that are their own, that belong to that account rep. And again, that report can reside right there in Goldmine so that they just click, this report opens, it refreshes against the Goldmine data, and they see exactly where they are, especially in terms of, in this case, might be, this is the week-by-week clicking activity, so that they can follow up. Well, who clicked this week? They might have a report that really focuses only on this week, and that gives them some other information like what markets are they in, or what did they click on, that kind of stuff. All of that can be very easily put in front of the user. So that all is just by way of sort of summarizing ways of doing reporting from your IntelliClick data. Now next, I mentioned in the introduction that one of the things that happens with Goldmine generally, and really with all databases, is that as information gets fed in, the majority of it hopefully is accurate, meaningful, typo-free, dropping into the correct locations and so on in the database. The majority of it probably is that, but I have yet to see a Goldmine system ever where all of the data in there actually follows the current rules for how that data is supposed to be in Goldmine. And when I say current rules, I mean having account records coded properly as, in this case, just you've probably all got a contact type field in your Goldmine database, but I'll bet you there are a lot more values within that field in the actual data than are supposed to be allowed by the lookups. Why is that? Well, that's because systems change over time. Your decisions about what is an allowable value in that field changes over time. People accidentally import data that in an incorrect way, or they actually type it in manually in an incorrect way if the Goldmine rules are lax enough that they are allowed to do their own typing in. So even the best Goldmine databases over time actually deteriorate in quality simply because human beings are working on it. One of the values that you get if you have MasterMine is that you would be able to actually take that information, and I'm going to demonstrate it here in the context of IntelliClick, you're going to be able to take that information and normalize it, to actually clean it up and make it all be consistent with the rules for how you're supposed to use Goldmine. And if you think about it, that is a tremendous value, both for Goldmine and for IntelliClick, because what it means is your reports can start to make sense. You don't just have a junk drawer of information. You actually have quality data that gives you quality information about running your business. So I'll demonstrate really how that happens inside of a MasterMine report here. Let's go back to our raw results here. So this is just, again, this is an original tab inside of Excel here, but I want to emphasize that this continues to talk back with Goldmine. So actually what I want to do is go to our click-throughs tab. And I'm going to show here not just I don't want to show the companies that I'm working with. I'm going to actually go to a particular type of campaign. We're going to look at our newsletter campaigns. And for the moment here, I won't look at a particular newsletter, although we might do that. What I'm going to show is what is the URL that the users actually clicked on from their email report, or excuse me, from their email that they received from you. So to be clear here, what you're seeing is the actual URLs that were contained in emails, actually newsletter emails that were sent out to prospects, and these are the actual URLs that the users clicked on when they received those emails and the count of how many they got. Now, this is just sort of a raw listing, as you can tell. From here, making sense of this information is what's really crucial. And you're probably what we typically want to sort of emphasize is it's good to know for any given individual web page how many people clicked on it. That's useful, but to be able to group those, and this is not this is not the actual clicks inside on your website. This is the URL that has them go there. Now, in this case, actually, they do match up. But remember that a URL in Goldmine might have settings within it, in an email rather. I don't want to get too technical here, but the point is you can get a lot of detail in the actual click that the user clicks on in your email that you sent them, and this will allow you to sort through that. I should just sort of summarize it there. So, for example, all of these ones that went to a particular type of page on our website might be grouped together. I'll group those together as I'll call them Insider. Now, this is where I might want to have some of my screen real estate back to work with again. So I'm going to switch the view back to just 100%. So what I've done here is within my report, I've grouped together certain types of web pages, places that they can go to. Now, they're not, of course, all necessarily your own web pages. You may have them clicking through to a YouTube page, or you may have them clicking through to someone else's website. Doesn't matter, because Goldmine is tracking that information, and MasterMine is going to allow you to make sense of it. So in this case, these are YouTube ones, and I'll just sort of demonstrate it. I think you're going to get the point that this will give you the ability to summarize and bring all of that information together in some sort of useful way. I'll take the remaining ones here and just put them again into a group together, and presumably somewhere in there would also be your home page or other categories of information, categories of links. What this allows us to do is essentially take that hodgepodge of email links links that people clicked on, and bring them down into a very simple kind of a summary that tells you, well, what are the types of things that people clicked on in certain time frames for certain products, and so on. This will allow you to actually bring all that down to much more finite kinds of sets of information, so that you can make better sense of it, both as a marketing manager who's analyzing what your marketing is doing, as well as let's say a sales manager who's responsible for the follow-up. So and what I wanted to indicate here when I show these individual URLs, I'm going to bring them all out here again, is that the data itself that's inside of Goldmine, some of this is going to be kind of one-off things, and some because of again, the information that you put out inside Goldmine, or sorry, when you use IntelliClick, the information that you put into there isn't always going to be necessarily consistent. So, for example, I hoped I would have an example right here on the screen. You see a lot of the URLs here don't have a www before mastermind.net. Well, a user might, in one email, they might receive a link that has www before that that URL, and another one that doesn't have it. Well, then you're going to have two different kinds of information that go into Goldmine, or two different versions of that same URL. One of the things that you can do with MasterMine is normalize that information. So you can take this information as it's shown in the report, and actually draw it together, draw similar things together, and actually update the Goldmine data so that it is normalized and consistent internally. I'm going to actually switch to a different, what I want to do is go to a different set of reports where we look at our WebNav data that's inside IntelliClick, so that I can demonstrate that not only can you work with WebNav data, but I've also got it set up there to illustrate this normalization process a little bit. So I'm going to actually close this report. I won't save it. By the way, any changes that you make, you, of course, can save, including doing a save as and multiplying or changing, making new reports out of existing reports. And whatever you save as an Excel workbook is, again, just immediately recallable inside of MasterMine again, by you or by even another user. So again, I don't want to get too technical here. I just wanted to sort of indicate, first, we were doing a report that looked at click activity, where we could have, by the way, also done updating of Goldmine data from there. And I'll also show, I want to show this WebNav report. So again, you'll see it on the bottom right there as it pretty quickly flashed on there. But
and by the way, Rob,
yes. Go ahead,
yeah,
Steve.
I want to point out that as Rob is going through this next piece of the demonstration, what's really important here is that a lot of times people will say, how can I effectively follow up and do drip marketing or subsequent campaigns based on the people's interests that have been tracked? So what you're going to see now is that this ability to focus based on what that behavior, that digital body language we're helping you track from their movement around your site, can then translate into groups that can be marketed to and be very highly targeted on the follow-up. And that's what this is going to help you do.
Right, exactly. So this report that I brought up here, now this looks at web navigation. Now again, this is a subset of your IntelliClick data. It's just the part where people clicking on your website, but the exact same thing could be done with with their clicks on your emails. What I like about the WebNav part of it, of course, is that it continues to track the activity of users who have gone to your website based on an email that you sent them. It continues to track it as they click from page to page on your website, so that you can see what products did they have an interest in, what services did they read about, all that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to show you here quickly is just a few samples of reports, and I'm going to come back to this product interest report for a purpose. So this is a report of web navigation clicks. In this case, we're selecting only certain contact types, or only one contact type. You might have, again, in your own Goldmine database, you've got your own contact types, and this just makes it easy to categorize them. So what's the company name of who was on the website? How many times did they hit your home page? And then these are actually groupings of URLs on your web page by the product that those pages are about. So if I give you an example here, this will kind of show you a lot. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just clone this report. One of the easy things to do with MasterMine is to always branch off from where you are. So I'm actually cloning the tab here. And my purpose for doing that is I just want to be able to show within MasterMine, for what I'm calling my MasterMine for Goldmine group of URLs, are actually a long list of URLs. Actually, let's just show those. And they're doing it horizontally, but I'll do it vertically here. So this is actually all the URLs that this one company has clicked on within my website. But I've grouped them here by what type of product, or excuse me, by which product those pages relate to, which of my products those pages relate to. I might do sort of a similar approach this way. So there's the home page, our actual home page, and by the way, this is where I was mentioning sometimes the link said www.mastermind.net, and sometimes it just said mastermind.net. We want to be able to capture both of those, so in this reporting I've drawn them together. And again, as I mentioned, we could drill through and update those. I'll come back to that here in a moment, so that the actual data itself is always consistent, or we can just do within the reporting, draw them together this way. Both options are available. So this is just by way of sort of illustrating, yes, we've got a number of URLs that they might have clicked on our website, individual web pages, but those pages have some logical grouping to them. All these pages are about our MasterMine for Goldmine product. These pages are all about our MasterMine for QuoteWorks product. These pages are about our MM Updater product, etc. And then these are about our services and so on. So we can roll down the activity of this particular prospect or customer and where they went to, or we can roll it back up again. I'm going to just go up and do a quick roll up of this one just to sort of visually simplify this. So we can see that particular company hit our homepage 413 times. They clicked on things that were interesting about MasterMine for Goldmine 29 times, or pages that are about that. And if I wanted to go into the individual pages for those, I could. That's just by way of sort of illustrating that. I'll go put this report back the way I started, with just a simple matrix of who's the company and what are the types of pages they clicked on. And then the next obvious thing is, as Steve mentioned, is what are you going to do about this? So they took an interest in MasterMine for Goldmine. Well, great. What are you going to do about it? One thing you might do is, as an end user, you might just drill through this, go right to their record, and call them up and try to do some business with them. Another thing you might do is set up drip marketing to them based on that activity, based on the fact that they were interested in this case, MasterMine for Goldmine. So what are you going to do when we say set up that activity? How are you going to do that on the Goldmine side? There are a couple of different ways to do that. One is a pretty simple one. Most of you are probably familiar with Goldmine groups. So inside Goldmine, you have this capability to take a subset of your accounts based on information that's in the database, or based on really just one by one adding them to groups. And by making them members of certain groups, they will receive certain kinds of marketing. So if you set up a drip email campaign, which of course would make the most sense to do as a result of their web nav activity inside Goldmine, you want to make sure that they receive the follow-up emails that you have that relate to that particular product. Or you want to make sure that they receive certain offers, or that your sales reps follow up with them. Either way, the important thing is to identify that subset of records on the Goldmine side. Well, if I double-click here on 61 here, I'm going to see my VARs that have gone to MasterMine for Goldmine type pages on my website. So when I double-click, I see all the detail for those, and of course I see every one of the links that they did. But one of the tools that I have inside MasterMine here is to build a Goldmine group against those, and say these were interested in MasterMine for Goldmine, and maybe assign those to a particular sales rep to follow up on, or however I want to do it. This way, I'm going to create on the Goldmine side a membership group of, in this case, there are 16 unique companies that were involved there, and that created a Goldmine group on the Goldmine side, so that now on the Goldmine side, it's easy to, let's say, send out an email. Let's schedule email merge, and pick what email is going to go to them, and the recipient for that email group, or the recipients for that email, are going to be that group that I just created, which are going to be in my list here, interested in MasterMine for Goldmine. Maybe choose whether it's primary and additional contacts that they go to, hit the OK button, and right away I get a follow-up activity that that's not exactly automatic, because you don't want your marketing to just be completely robotic. You want it, put some thought into it as you do it. But essentially what we've done is make it really easy to take a selection of prospects that have responded in a certain way on your website, identify them in Goldmine, and do an email to them. By the way, creating Goldmine groups is something we really encourage very strongly, because one of the things that groups do that filters, by the way, can't do, is allow you to track over time what happens with the groups that you created. So all of the leads that you got from a trade show in January, you should be able, with a group in Goldmine, to track over time what happened with those. Some of them probably dropped off the map, some of them became very likely prospects, some of them are your less likely prospects, and some of them are your actual customers. You want to be able to track them over time using those groups. So that was just by way of... It's
also important.
Go ahead.
Right, Rob, to point out that, of course, with any type of subsequent marketing you're going to do with IntelliClick, groups is the way for you to do your sends. So grouping is key for you to create those subsequent follow-up lists that you can then market to through the IntelliSend and IntelliClick tool.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of a circular thing. You can use MasterMine with your Goldmine database to isolate the groups you're going to send to, then do your sending, receive the responses that you get, and sort through those and organize them in the ways I've been talking about, and then set up another group or subgroups or additional groups based on what you've learned about your customers. That's sort of the cycle for using IntelliClick and Goldmine together with MasterMine to manage marketing over time. So that's, I think that's all the things that I wanted to illustrate here. I don't know if we have gotten any questions along the way, Steve, or if it's appropriate to handle those. I would like to be able to handle those after I do, maybe after I do a little summary here, unless they're specific to the things that we've shown.
Well, at this point, Rob, I'm not showing any questions specifically that need to be addressed, but
Okay.
certainly if people do have them, please go ahead and post. So we'll let you continue on and talk about pricing, things like that.
Okay, great. So I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint here, and whoops. Let me come back to, there we go. Third time's the charm. So that was the agenda, and I'm going to so just to sort of quickly summarize here. We're talking about using MasterMine with IntelliClick to manage your data, to and in the ways that we obviously that I went to in some detail, to turn data into information, typically meaning reports, summaries, analyses that are really sort of hands-on analyses, not just simply canned reports, and then to be able to facilitate your being able to do drip marketing and all the other kinds of follow-up action that are appropriate for that result from the fact that IntelliClick generated information that was collected inside of Goldmine. So the last thing that I want to cover here is an offer for you to get a look at MasterMine working with your Goldmine database. Now, in the process of the last hour, you have seen me sort of cruise through Goldmine IntelliClick information in ways that are probably in some ways were very quick and not terribly intelligible, since we were looking at a demo database and since we were, this is not your Goldmine system. What I want to offer here is the ability to for us to actually, with you, dig into your IntelliClick clicks. We will give you for free, because you attended this webinar and had a look at the broad possibilities, and a 1 hour free analysis of your IntelliClick activity that you've already accumulated inside of Goldmine. What that involves is we get online together with you in GoToMeeting. We quickly set up MasterMine, which takes about 5 minutes, and then we actually dig into your IntelliClick information. Now, that may sound kind of grandiose, but the fact is it's pretty easy to set up and do that very thing that I just said. We can get MasterMine set up and actually start digging into your IntelliClick information almost immediately and start giving you some more intelligent and useful feedback about what you've got in Goldmine. What we're going to discover in there, in all likelihood, is that information is not completely consistent, so it probably needs to be cleaned up somewhat in order to give you useful, meaningful information. But it's probably 80% consistent, and so we can give you the 80% valuable information from what you already have, as well as sort of point the way toward what needs to happen to clean it up and make it more consistent. So
Rob, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The one question is, will that version that you put on there, is that a version that can be on there for continued demonstration purposes by them for any limited time, or is that a
so what we put on
trial version?
So in effect, that is a trial version of MasterMine. It is fully capable on the reporting side, not fully capable on the actual data updating side. But the software is all there, and it will work in trial mode for about 4 days. And if you decide that you want to purchase MasterMine, you'll be able to essentially just apply a license number to it, and it will just continue to work right from that point. So, and if you don't like it, if you don't want to use MasterMine, we can remove it from the system, or we can just sort of leave it there and come back to it another time. That's up to you. What I should give you is really kind of a ballpark cost, so you understand what MasterMine for Goldmine costs. And again, there's no additional charge for the IntelliClick aspect of it. MasterMine just works with all of your Goldmine data. So all of your reporting, all of your data management could be handled using the MasterMine tools, just by buying the software. And IntelliClick is just a really big bonus for that. So the cost of MasterMine is going to run you somewhere a little bit less, about $9.95 is our sort of base one-user reporting MasterMine price, $995. And on top of that, you can get the updater capability. You can get additional users of MasterMine. You can get training and online support. And so we sell MasterMine actually in packages of all that kind of stuff. So you might wind up spending $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 rather than just $1,000, depending on what your, or rather than the $995, depending upon what your desire is for being able to dig into your data a little bit further and to share that ability among other users. So ballpark cost, I'm going to say $995 to $49.95. And in that 1 hour session that we do online with you, we can go into that in any level of detail that you like, in addition to actually looking at your Goldmine data. The other thing that we're offering today is if you purchase MasterMine by the end of September, so anytime in August or September, we will give you 10% off the price of purchasing MasterMine. So you'll be saving somewhere between $100 and $500 by purchasing in that time frame. What you need to do is, when you make that purchase, mention that you were on this webinar and that you got the offer from here, and that's what will allow us to apply it. So that is the offer. We're just about at the end of our hour and want to respect your time, but I do also want to take whatever questions have come along in the meantime. And Steve, I see that there are some questions out there. I don't know whether they've been answered individually already or if they're appropriate for the group.
I'm looking here now. There's something about you summarized MasterMine with IntelliClick, but did not use IntelliClick to send your emails. Why?
We actually did use IntelliClick to send them.
Yeah, and IntelliClick, that was how those tracked results got there.
Right.
I'm not sure if they meant whether or not it was sent using IntelliSend or not. Typically, I believe you would have used IntelliSend. You always have the flexibility with IntelliClick to send mail using Goldmine. Of course, the advantages IntelliSend provides is it ensures that you're not going to send to people who've unsubscribed or are hard bounced from prior campaigns, and so we screen all that out for you. Some people like to be able to do small little campaigns or one-off sends, which you can do using Goldmine and the Document Management Center to send me email. It's most commonly done with one-offs. Still can be an ongoing campaign that, as you send these various follow-up emails and track what people are responding to, that becomes still a valuable input to you on what you might do next to try to close a sale. Mm-hmm. You think you've covered the costs fairly thoroughly, and that there is a price range. So the base product is $9.95 for the product. The updater, Rob, is that in that, or is there a different cost for updater?
Yeah, there's a separate cost for updater because typically reporting and updating data are two separate functions within an organization, and you don't want everybody who can do reporting to be able to update the Goldmine data in a mass way.
Right.
But they are packaged together. So if you simply buy them one at a time, it's $9.95 for your first seat of MasterMine reporting and $9.95 also for updater to add it on. But typically people buy them in packages, and you get significant discounts by buying them packaged together. One of the things you can do is our website, mastermind.net, actually has our pricing on it, so you can see it there. Or, again, we'll be happy to sort of guide you through that and figure out what is the appropriate package for you. I do want to respond also. I see another question there that says is this what you saw of MasterMind today, is it just the top end, or is it the sort of typical one? What you saw today is all actually the one part that I didn't go into is Updater, which I would call the sort of top end if you do MasterMind plus Updater. Everything that I showed you as far as report creation and report organization and display here is all in the base MasterMind product at $9.95, including drilling through back to Goldmine, building Goldmine groups, and so on. The only thing that I didn't show you, which I'll just sort of quickly indicate here now, is I'm going to drill down on these records here and just use this as a sort of a random sample of data. These are actual click records in Goldmine. It includes the URLs, for example. It includes the names of the people who clicked and so on. If you change the information here on this spreadsheet, that by itself obviously is not going to change Goldmine. But MasterMind actually does have this optional tool called Updater, which, if you have it licensed, will allow you to actually go out to the data inside Goldmine and update based on the change you made on the spreadsheet. I won't go through this in a lot of detail. It's actually it's a very simple product. You simply change the information on the spreadsheet to the way you want it using, you could manually type over what's there. You could also use Excel formulas if you wanted to. You can drag down values across, what you're looking at. It really is quite, it's quite easy for end users to learn because it's essentially just Excel page modifications. And then once you've done that, you highlight what you've changed or what you want to have changed on the Goldmine side, hit OK, and push those changes over to Goldmine. And Updater handles that. It does it in a sync-aware way. It does it in a way that meets all the Goldmine rules, and is even undoable. So in other words, you might make some changes and either want those to be temporary or even find that you've made a mistake, and undo will put that data back the way it started, as long as you save.
And let me highlight one other thing for people who may have wanted to do updates in Goldmine. Goldmine's own updating capabilities, Global Replace, are limited to just very select tables, which are record-level fields. With MasterMine, you have the ability to talk to many different tables that aren't accessible through the Goldmine toolset. So updating, for instance, this click information could not be globally done inside of Goldmine. There is no access to that table where that data resides. As Rob is pointing out here, there's numerous other places you can do updates across your system. So as a tool, it's a very powerful way to, again, normalize information, not only for IntelliClick purposes, but for anything you do in how you manage your system, your reporting, and your sales processes. This is a way to make sure things are on track very easily with just the knowledge of Excel and a spreadsheet as a basis to do it. I just want to point that out.
Right. A very good point, Steve, because ultimately, originally people come to MasterMine for the reporting purposes, but very often, ultimately, their main love for MasterMine comes from the fact that they really have this hands-on control of what's actually in their Goldmine data. And every organization has people who know how Excel works, and they can leverage that knowledge they already have in Excel to actually manage and manipulate the Goldmine data.
Rob, what is the price of Updater?
So Updater adds, again, the menu price for MasterMine is $9.95, or sorry, for Updater is $9.95, but typically it's bought as part of a package with the main MasterMine product. And so, for example, if you were to just simply buy a first user of MasterMine and a first user of Updater, and in fact, you have some other stuff thrown in together with that, like support, a little bit of support work and so on. Those together cost $1,695, so $1,695. So that's already a $300 discount off buying them individually, plus some other things.
So there's various bundle. Right.
Exactly. There's bundle
so
prices.
There's different bundle pricing you have. And
Right.
I guess my question is that all available through your website? Is that where they can go and get that information at the website?
It is. So in fact, let me go to MasterMine. Long as we're at it. So this is our website, and I'll actually pull up the price list here so you can see it. Now anybody can go to mastermind.net at your leisure and see this in detail. So as I was saying, this is sort of the menu price here, but the packages, the bundles, are really probably the starting point that you want to go to. So there is, so we sell the individual first create license, the first seat of MasterMine, for $9.95, but if you were to just get this starter report pack, reporting starter pack, excuse me, that only does reporting, not data management, but you get some additional things there, all for the price of $9.95. Or you can go with what we call the Goldmine Management Starter Pack, that is that creation license plus Updater, and plus, again, a little bit of support and a little bit of online training and 6 months of annual maintenance, and that price, that package price, is $16.95. And then it goes up a little bit from there as you expand your user level. One of the things that I really try to emphasize with people, and they sometimes don't believe me initially, but once you start getting into MasterMine and working with MasterMine together with Goldmine, you realize this is something that doesn't make sense for only a single user within the organization to have. If that person leaves, if that person is only, let's say, the sales the sales manager, but the marketing manager doesn't have this capability, then you've really kind of cut off the information flow from Goldmine that should be the lifeblood of your company, rather than just sort of opening it up. What MasterMine does, or what we do as far as pricing is concerned, is your first seat of MasterMine is $9.95, but the additional ones are actually considerably less. So a second create license, a second ability to create original reports is $300. The ability to simply open reports that are shared to you is $200. So in most organizations, what you'll have is a few primary report creators, and then ideally the rest of your Goldmine users would be share users, people who can have reports easily shared to them. And those users don't create original reports, but they still have the drill-through ability to Goldmine, the ability to manipulate the reports any way that they need to, as well as to sort of do that interaction back with Goldmine. And those users can selectively have the updater capability provided for them. So again, that's the menu prices, but the packages are probably the best way to go initially. Let's see. So I don't see any other questions that have come
Excellent.
up.
Well, so far we're not. Right. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Steve, I think that we can probably call it a day.
I'd just like to say, yes, that in summary, let me make sure there's no other questions. In summary, I think what you're seeing is that if you overlay MasterMine with the data that you have in Goldmine, whether it's the IntelliClick information or any other information you're capturing, all the activity, all the work that's being done by your salespeople, it really does give you a very holistic approach to reporting that's very easily manipulated. That's probably the biggest advantage. It's in Excel. It's an environment most people are comfortable working in, and it has a very nice interactive capability to draw down on that data in real time and then build out follow-up groups and so forth. So again, Robert, thank you very much for your help today and for demonstrating this. I think it's very valuable, and hopefully, excuse me, those of you who have an interest in the product, if you're working with a Goldmine partner who resells MasterMine, definitely channel any inquiries to purchase there. If you need any help on the purchase, feel free to check back with us, and we can facilitate that for you and coordinate with MasterMine on that for you.
Yep. So, Steve, thank you very much for the opportunity to present today, and I look forward to hearing from your IntelliClick users.